don't want to enjoy life there, but, like, it's just sad. Like, I don't know.
No, that's a rehabilitative. See, that's how jail is supposed to rehabilitate people.
But I don't need to be rehabilitated. Like, I don't need that.
You.
Like,
I know you don't.
The newly released documentary about the case of Mackenzie Shirilla and the crash that killed her boyfriend and another passenger has skyrocketed to #1 on Netflix. And as more people learn about this tragic case and more about Shirilla and her family, the fallout has grown. From Mackenzie's dad being suspended from his job to claims that her first on-camera interview didn't match up with how she was acting behind bars, and a very revealing jail phone call, we are taking a closer look at what we've learned since the release of the crash. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hell on wheels. That is what then 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla was called back in 2022 when investigators say she intentionally drove a car into the side of a building in Strongsville, Ohio, killing her boyfriend, 20-year-old Dominic Russo, and his friend, 19-year-old Davion Flanagan. And before I even get into what is happening right now with this Netflix documentary and the fallout, the reaction, the criticism, the blowback from what Shirilla was saying on tape, I just got to put all of this into context for you, okay? So crash reports that were submitted by experts revealed that Shirilla was going nearly 100 miles per hour with no sign of braking when she slammed the car into a brick wall. The Toyota Camry was seen on several cameras in the area before the crash on July 31st, and one actually caught the moment of impact, and it is just horrifying. Give you an idea of this, a 911 call from a passerby came into dispatch at around 6 a.m. Take a listen.
There's a car that's smashed up against the building. I didn't go up to it because I was on my motorcycle. I didn't know if I'd get stuck, but they ran the curb. I can see they smashed the sign and hit the building. The car's crashed.
What law enforcement saw when they got to that scene was awful.
Duty.
Radio. This car's split in two. Radio, there's an occupant inside. Send us a squad now. We gotta bust the window out. Send us some more units.
Any more units to progress now, Anita?
Now!
What are we doing?
31, spawn up. 60 on Westwood, on the 3 on Alameda.
This is not a fresh accident either. She's been here for a while. Radio, we got at least 2 occupants in here. No one's moving. Oh my God. Oh my God. Times 3, guys. Radio, 3 occupants. No one's conscious. No one's breathing. Bust that window out. Rookie. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, this smash car was in multiple pieces. Police officers, they struggled to get the victims inside. According to police reports, debris was scattered in a 70-foot radius. There was a piece of the car that was even found on the roof of the building that Shirilla hit. Now, Dominic and Davion, they were killed, dead in the car. But Shirilla, she somehow survived this impact, this crash, and she was, life-flighted to a hospital with very serious injuries.
Dave, what did they tell you?
Nothing.
Okay, she was life-flighted here.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
Okay. No. You want to sit down?
Oh my God.
Wait to say this. There's progress in Alameda, car into a building. 2 are deceased in the vehicle. Daughter's driving.
Who died?
I don't know whether, but there's one that we don't know. His name's Jacob. Does anyone know Jacob?
Dom?
No, stop. Let him talk.
Guys, I know, we've been dealing with this. Your daughter's okay. She's talking to us. I talked to her, okay? Your daughter's alive.
So an officer then speaks with Shirilla's parents that are in the hospital waiting room, letting them know the information they had so far. And then this officer goes back to speak with them again after getting more details about what investigators found at the scene. Now, to clarify, at the time, the officers believed that Dominic was someone named Jacob, so you might see a little bit of confusion there, but take a listen.
Oh, God, help me. All right, I got to talk to you one more time. Just gonna let you know where we stand as a police department, okay? Where we stand today, okay? Full transparency here. There's drugs in the car. She had a bag of mushrooms on her and a scale. Full transparency, guys. I'm sorry, I'm ripping the Band-Aid off, okay? Drugs in the car. It's a mess, okay? We're not gonna do anything with the blood draw or anything here, but it will probably be subpoenaed, just so you guys know. They're going to subpoena for a blood draw for the sample. Okay. Since she's unconscious, I really will, if you guys could talk, if she wakes up, we need the name of that passenger. Okay? Wait,
you don't know what it
we don't. All I know is his name is Jacob. That's it.
Where
Yeah.
were people in the car?
She was driving, one in the back seat, and Jacob was in the front. Davion in the back. You're the parent. I mean, you have the right to know. This is serious.
Yeah, so investigators, they found baggies containing mushrooms and marijuana, and then cash and a scale with suspected drug residue on it, a marijuana vape pen, a bong, all in connection or associated with Mackenzie Shirilla. And the toxicology test done on Shirilla found that while she had these kind of trace amounts of THC in her system, she didn't appear to have taken any mushrooms or, you know, that she drank any alcohol in the hours before this crash. In other words, this wasn't a case of her being intoxicated.
And me and him were the first ones on scene to discover.
She was awake but not awake, so she was like not
In and out of consciousness. Should be fully extracted from the vehicle. IFD. I know she has a severe leg injury. But like I said, she was speaking. She was speaking, okay? And she had her seatbelt on. Yes. We had to cut it off to get her out.
Stop.
Yeah, that probably saved her life. 100%
Oh my
saved her life.
God. She had a seatbelt on. Oh.
I don't believe the others did.
Oh my God. Oh my God. She got it out.
It was at Progress in Alameda. Like I said, they hit a building at a very high speed.
She had it on
She did not hit another vehicle.
The
It
drugs
just,
were on her, or like on her person, or just on her? Or did somebody else's? Could it be that she?
that person.
What does that mean? They were
Pockets. Yeah. Yeah. That's the least your worries at this point, guys.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm just trying to gather information. I'm an information gatherer.
Yes. I'm just giving you what I know, okay?
As investigators started to look into what might have led up to all this, what led up to this tragedy, they realized that Dominic and Mackenzie, who had been dating for several years, this was a rather tumultuous relationship. The two had been living together. There were recordings that came out after the crash that revealed these threats that Shirilla had made to Dominic.
Like before, you lied. You lied and said you would never lock me out of the house again. That is why we got back together last time we broke up. But I forgot. You can never
broke up with me
your
earlier.
word because you were.
You broke up
This is
with
your
me
last
earlier.
chance.
You literally broke up with me earlier.
This is your last chance to open the door, or you are not coming out of this house all night because I will not leave.
Going back to the documentary that we're talking about, the crash, there were claims that were made in this documentary that Shirilla had previously threatened to crash a car that she was driving with Dominic inside. You add to the story, apparently Shirilla had these videos up on social media where the argument was she didn't appear that remorseful over what happened after the crash, apparently talking about a brand deal. She was also accused of dressing up like a corpse for Halloween with her friends. Now, her friends said it was just like to look like a rapper, but you can understand why that would look problematic given what just happened. And then there were these posts from her social media that seemed to show her driving recklessly, smoking what looked like marijuana while behind the wheel of the car. So yeah, problematic to say the least. And she also, by the way, even posted a video seemingly showing her at a concert in a wheelchair after the crash. Shirilla was arrested in November 2022. She was charged with a laundry list of crimes, and this included murder and aggravated vehicular homicide for allegedly driving into the wall on purpose. And interestingly, a key piece of evidence against Shirilla, which prosecutors talked about at trial, wasn't even featured that much in the Netflix documentary, because prosecutors had argued that there was cell phone data that showed Mackenzie in the same area as the crash days before. The argument was that she was doing a test or a dry run before the crash. By the way, if you want any more information about the Mackenzie Shirilla case, if you go on the Law&Crime Plus app, you go to case files, we have everything that you would need to know about that case up there. So I encourage everybody to go check it out. Again, Law&Crime Plus. Now, to be clear, Shirilla and her family have always maintained her innocence, saying she had some sort of medical episode, a medical condition that could cause her to black out, specifically POTS. We know that this is a condition that can cause dizziness, fainting, and while that was her defense at trial, by the way, Shirilla didn't testify. And by the way, going back to what happened when she was arrested, she seemed shocked that she was being taken into custody, and so did her parents.
What happens now? What am I doing?
Okay, well, Mackenzie's 18, so
The lawyer said they called and said that, not to talk to any cops because she's legal counsel.
Yeah, and we read her rights because she's 18, and we are not going to ask her any questions. We have nothing to ask her, so we're not going to ask her anything anyway. So when we're done with our booking process, she will likely be processed downtown. We'll transport her downtown.
I need to speak to my daughter because you guys aren't allowed to speak to her at all. That's from the lawyer. He does not want you guys speaking to her. And I can get him on the phone, and he can tell you that over the phone if that works, or I can go in and tell her not to open her mouth. But how you guys did this on the weekend is just, all you have to do is go, hey, there's a warrant for her. We would have brought her right down here with no problem, but you hit it. It's just unbelievable. I mean, she's 18.
So the warrant was issued today, so we executed it today. The warrant wasn't issued earlier.
Well, you could have made a phone call, couldn't you? You had your creeper out in front of my yard watching.
So she can't take any, she's an adult, she can't take any phone calls right now. She'll be transferred downtown. Okay. I don't know when.
Service just called to advise.
She'll be transferred downtown.
Okay, well, I still need to speak to my daughter so she understands what her, not to say anything to you guys.
Okay, and I don't know about the phone. I would have to ask about that.
Can you go find, it's mine, it's not hers. I do need it. I have other children.
And that's how we communicate.
Yeah, and that's how we communicate.
Okay, so
I do need my phone.
Yeah,
I mean, if he had to roll out the whole mask to pick up an 18-year-old girl who can hardly walk out of a hospital visit, it's just beyond me.
So we follow the law, and that's what we're doing today. So her, the phone that was in her hand is the one that we took, but I'd have to check with the detective to find out what's going on with that. I don't know the answer to that.
Can we find out? I do need it like right now.
Okay, let me at least
I have
ask.
another child.
No, I get it. So we gotta let them.
Can you, so yeah. Thank you.
Then am I going to be allowed to have a 2-minute conversation with her?
You cannot talk to her while she's here. No.
Why doesn't she get a
Well,
phone
she has
call?
legal
If you arrested her, why don't
representative.
she get a phone call?
She was just brought in. They're going to process her. As soon as they get the time for her to make a phone call, she will be able to make a phone call.
You just need to advise her. She has a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. She does have a lawyer.
She is 18 years old and she could speak that.
Yeah, but she's a dumb 18-year-old that just turned 18.
Well,
and you guys are no.
She's dumb.
The folks, all the kids nowadays are dumb, and these guys are going to take advantage of it. She's not allowed to speak to you guys. I'm telling you that.
Her
from
attorney
lawyer.
can call us.
I just need
Don't ask her any questions. She's not allowed to speak to you.
Now, something else that wasn't or didn't appear to be addressed in the documentary was Shirilla's apparent attempt to leave the hospital to go to Dominic's funeral. And according to investigative reports, officers at the hospital for another case, they were approached by a sergeant who told them about Shirilla's, I guess you would call it, attempted leave, attempted escape. It says, quote, Sergeant Doyle stated to us that Mackenzie Shirilla came to Metro Health as a juvenile, but while she was being treated in the hospital over the course of several days, she had a birthday and turned 18, thus making her an adult. One night before the night of Dominic Russo's funeral, she tried to escape and leave the hospital. He stated that the police were called to her room to intervene. While he was in the room, he stated he spoke to Mackenzie Shirilla's father, who called them. The sergeant stated that her father, Stephen Shirilla, stated to him that they cannot allow their daughter to leave the hospital. Sergeant Doyle stated to him that she is is an adult, and they cannot physically keep her there at the hospital if she wanted to leave because she was now an adult. Sergeant Doyle stated to us that Mr. Shirilla stated to him that they had to keep her in the hospital, quote, because she already tried to kill herself and she killed those 2 boys, and quote, they can't allow her to leave the hospital because she's suicidal. Now, that is really interesting because there had been speculation that Mackenzie Shirilla was trying to end her own life when she crashed the car but survived. But that information came to police kind of secondhand, so they interviewed Sergeant Doyle to set the record straight, and as it turns out, some of the details kind of got muddled during this, game of law enforcement telephone, so take a look.
We're dispatched to Mackenzie Shirilla's room. Can you tell me about that day?
So we were dispatched up to the room for a disturbance. Once we arrived up on the room, she was upset that with her dad. So I was in the room with her and her dad, and if I recall correctly, her mom was in the room too. We asked the dad to step out. He was hysterical, crying, just all upset about his daughter, and so then we're trying to calm him down, and he's like, you guys probably know who I am, and you probably saw it all on the news and stuff like that. So, and he's like, at one point in the conversation, he's like, I feel like my daughter needs a psych evaluation. And he's like, because she's not, thinking clearly, and blah blah blah. I'll be honest, that was back in August, word for word what he said, I don't recall every word that he said. He was pretty hysterical, he was pretty upset, and we sat him at the waiting room down the hall, and that was she was upset with her dad because she wanted to leave to go to the funerals, and I guess they got in some kind of argument about it, and that was it.
Any insinuation or any statements that the dad made about his daughter being suicidal today or in the past?
No, he just, the only thing that I can recall on is he just made that comment, I feel like she needs a psych evaluation, because she's not thinking clearly. Okay. What that means,
Okay. Yeah, so it's open for interpretation, basically. He did not kind of go on to explain.
And I said, did you guys ever charge that, charge out that, female yet from that crash? And he said, and the one guy's like, no, not yet. Kind of saying hey, it's coming soon. So I said, yeah, we had a little interaction with the dad. I said, and I pretty much told them the same thing I told you. But at the end of it, I said, I'm like, oh, I said I heard that she intentionally did it. Meaning, I heard that she intentionally did it through another law enforcement source.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. So, at no point was it that you heard it from Shirilla's dad?
No.
Okay. Can I ask who you heard it from?
I was at a party, and there was a bunch of cops there, and it was a third party.
Okay. Was it SPD officers?
No, it was the other officer that knew. It was a kind of third party.
Third party, so just cops chopping it up.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, at no point in your conversation, just to be clear, did you say that Mr. Shirilla told you, my daughter needs an eval because she tried to kill herself and in the process killed the 2 boys? Any reference to Shirilla killing the 2 boys?
No.
Okay.
In the end, we know that Mackenzie Shirilla opted for a bench trial, so instead of going to a jury, she went in front of a judge, and so the judge would be the trier of fact here. And the judge saw the arguments, saw the evidence, and made a decision. The judge found Mackenzie Shirilla guilty of all 12 counts: murder, felonious assault, aggravated vehicular homicide, drug possession, possessing criminal tools, and Mackenzie Shirilla was sentenced to 2 life terms in prison, served at the same time, with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Now, Shirilla has filed numerous appeals, all of which have reportedly been denied. Her family says they're going to continue their fight to prove her innocence. But you got to go back to this documentary, the Netflix documentary, The Crash. So Shirilla has made certain statements in this documentary from behind bars at the Ohio Reformatory. And the argument is that what she said has, met quite the reaction, seemingly caused quite a stir. Like, for example, where she says in the doc, "I'm not a monster. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I was a driver of a tragedy, but I'm not a murderer." She also said that regarding Dominic, we would have probably been married by now. We argued, we got back together, we broke up, we got back together. It was rocky, but it was good. We were in love. And again, she would say she doesn't remember anything from the night of the crash, saying, quote, "I remember turning on the street, and then I'm waking up in the hospital the next day, and my whole life is shattered." Now, we've heard Shirilla speak before about her actions, and we heard it during her sentencing hearing. In case you haven't seen it, take a look.
Is there anyone else?
I would like Mackenzie to address the court.
Mackenzie, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay? You can sit if it's more comfortable, whatever's better for you.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, her mom also spoke at sentencing, and this too caused quite a stir.
She would never, ever, ever murder the love of her life, okay? Halloween, for 3 months after the accident, she would only wear his clothes. She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote, okay? She was laying in bed for 3 months crying. There was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her. So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, "I don't know, should I go?" She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So I told her, I said, "Baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go have just a moment of fun, a moment of fun." So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world, So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, Mackenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes, okay? And they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the 2 dead people.
Dominic, okay? I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? His life is worthless?
No. Okay. God, no, not at all. They all loved each other. They all spent every day together. You know what I mean? I don't know too much for him.
Isn't that part of the problem, Mrs. Shirilla?
Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem, that they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of...
It's not a problem at all. It was wonderful.
It's a problem how they all ended up in the car together and 2 of them ended up dead.
I understand. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never.
Well, we're going to have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah, so Shirilla's parents, Natalie and Steve, they were both part of this documentary too, and that decision and their comments have caused backlash. For example, Steve Shirilla worked as an art and digital media teacher at a school out in Cleveland. It's called Mary Queen of Peace School. This week, it was reported he was put on administrative leave. This is according to Cleveland 19 News. The school administrators reportedly sent this email to parents that said, quote, "Dear Mary Queen of Peace School parents, families, and guardians, we're investigating allegations made on social media that one of our teachers has demonstrated poor judgment. Upon learning of the allegation, the school acted immediately and placed the teacher on administrative leave. The investigation is ongoing. We want every parent and family to know that the safety, well-being, and trust of our students remain among our highest priorities. We take all student concerns seriously and are committed to responding promptly and responsibly whenever concerns are brought forward. While we are limited in what we can share during an active personnel investigation, please know that we are reviewing the matter and will provide additional communication as appropriate. We appreciate your continued support of the Mary Queen of Peace School community." Now, Steve spoke with TMZ Live after his suspension, and according to him, the diocese that oversees the school had been just inundated with complaints about his participation in this Netflix show, this Netflix documentary, and especially his comments about marijuana use by teens, because in the documentary, he said, quote, "I don't have a problem with her smoking dope. If you're going to smoke a drug, that's the one I believe you should take." But Steve told TMZ his words were twisted by the producers, and that the filmmakers had condensed hours and hours of footage and interviews down into just a few sound bites, that it was taken out of context. He claims he had no idea that his daughter had allegedly been using marijuana while driving, and have reportedly said if he had known, he would have had a huge problem with it. And then, to be clear, there's a lot of backlash after this documentary premiered that has been leveled at Mackenzie Shirilla's parents, because one commenter on Reddit wrote, "Her parents are villains also for not disciplining this petulant child. Her temper tantrums were allowed to flourish unchecked, and the result is an out-of-control adult who cannot manage her feelings. Those parents are still making excuses for their bad parenting and her murderous behavior." And just to go back to this, the big part about this documentary is Shirilla, right? I mean, this is the only interview with her about the crash. She told the producers that she still, again, has no memory of what happened. The only thing she says makes sense to her is that she had a medical episode. She talked about life behind bars. I mean, she said, quote, "It's really hard every day in here. I try to wake up and be the best person I can be every day, stay out of trouble. There's not a moment that doesn't pass where I don't think about Dom and Davion." However, there's an unexpected moment toward the end of this documentary that we got to talk about, okay? It shows Shirilla speaking with who appears to be a lawyer off screen about how her interview is going. So Netflix's fan site, ta-dum, wrote up an article about the film and said this about a big twist at the end. Quote, "It's only after Mackenzie finishes speaking that the filmmakers reveal her attorney has been in the room the entire time. Her demeanor demonstrably shifts as she checks in on how she's coming across. Quote, I don't want to force anything and just say too much or sound crazy," she says to her lawyer before turning back to the camera to say, quote, "I'm big on the no intent. There was no intent whatsoever there. I have excessive amounts of remorse for Dominic, Davion, both of their families. This was not intentional, and I will do everything I can to prove that to the world and the families, and that's it." Now, multiple ways to look at that. Some could say maybe she's manufacturing how she's coming across. Another way could say, look, she's making a statement. Of course, she's going to consult with her lawyer. But when it comes to how Shirilla maybe really is acting behind bars, who's the real Mackenzie Shirilla? So we are getting an insight from somebody who apparently spent some time with her behind bars. Also, by the way, jailhouse phone calls we'll talk about. So look, I had a chance to speak with a woman named Kat Crowder on my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, last night. And she spent some time locked up at the same time as Shirilla at this correctional facility. And she claimed, look, while she wouldn't say she was friends with Mackenzie Shirilla, she observed how she acted behind those prison walls.
A very light demeanor, if that makes sense. So lots of laughing, lots of giggling, you know, makeup done every day. It was never this dark, smug, tough girl act that was in this video, trying to portray some sort of remorse. I never, you know, I don't know what somebody's thinking. I don't know what's going on in her head, but from my observations, there was never any, you know, behaviors that looked like somebody who was remorseful. Towards the end of my sentence, before I was about to be released, I saw Mackenzie walking the track on the yard, and she did have large hickeys. And it's come out since then that she's had multiple girlfriends since being incarcerated, doing who knows what. So that just had to result from another one of those.
Was she a mean girl in the prison?
I do say that she wanted to be like Regina George. I mean, just the way that she did her makeup, the way that it was like she was going out to a club or something, or she thought she was going to be famous or photographed. She would wear her clothes altered so they would be form-fitting, and she would make fun of people who had less than she did because she was well taken care of inside prison.
Yeah, so Kat said she never saw any signs of POTS either, that after speaking with others who had more direct contact with Mackenzie Shirilla, that the crash, according to Shirilla, allegedly what she told these people, wasn't really due to POTS, but maybe being high. So this idea of mixed stories. Again, this is according to Kat. But others are coming forward online to talk about their experiences with Mackenzie Shirilla, including one person on Reddit who wrote, "I went to high school with all of them, but Mackenzie and Davion were a couple years ahead of me. My friend played football with Davion and knows Mackenzie's parents, and her and I are both friendly with Mackenzie's sister. We both think her family is in denial and that her actions were intentional. It's an awful situation all around." Obviously no way to confirm if this person really knows them, but something to think about. People magazine also obtained this apparent jail phone call between Mackenzie Shirilla and her mom, where Shirilla seemingly complains about her circumstances.
I don't want to enjoy life there, but it's just sad. I don't know.
No, that's a rehabilitative. See, that's how jail is supposed to rehabilitate people.
But I don't need to be rehabilitated. I don't need that.
I know you don't.
I feel I want to live off the grid. And I'm just been thinking about how I'm just gonna be old when I get out of jail, and I don't know, I'm not gonna be able to have kids or a family and shit
what?
that.
Stop that.
I'm just scared they're gonna be you have the death penalty or you're going to life for 40 years.
I know. Well, let us fight. Let us do what we're doing, okay? Just living right now.
You know, one of the pieces of criticism of this documentary is that it doesn't appear to include an audio conversation between Mackenzie and her mom, where the argument is that they talk in gibberish, allegedly coded language, according to people that police believe she said to her mom, "Can we tell the police I had a seizure? Can we tell the police something like that?" There's also reports that Natalie Shirilla is posting on behalf of her daughter on her Instagram page. The last post is from February, a selfie of Shirilla, and the caption says, "From Mackenzie, thank you to those who see through the lies and to those who take time out of their day to form their own opinion as to the truth of what actually happened. I'm not perfect. I never will be, but I am not guilty of murder. Like any young couple, Dom and I had our disagreements and arguments. However, I always loved Dom and would never do anything to hurt him, Davion, or anyone else I care about. I will respectfully and peacefully continue to fight for my innocence through the proper legal channels. To all of those who speak out on my behalf to raise awareness of this wrongful conviction, words cannot describe my sincere appreciation for your support and for being my voice. Continue to scream, 'Free Mackenzie Shirilla' at the top of your lungs. If it can happen to her, it can happen to us. Follow Free Mackenzie Shirilla on Facebook and TikTok for the truth." And it's signed Mackenzie's support team. Now, it is possible that Mackenzie Shirilla could be paroled as early as 2037, according to the Department of Corrections, when she's in her early 30s, so something to look out for. But the judge did say during her sentencing that she expects Mackenzie Shirilla won't be let out anytime soon, if ever. So for now, Mackenzie Shirilla remains locked up at the Ohio Reformatory for Women in Ohio. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time, everybody.